It's January 26th, 2026. This is your intelligence briefing. All right, let's start with a number. What you're looking at is the value of foreign equity pulled out of Indian markets this month alone. We're talking about a massive capital outflow. And when that much money leaves the country, well, this is what happens. A new record low for the Indian rupee against the US dollar. You can feel the pressure mounting. So you have to ask, what's the connection here? How do market shocks, political fights, and even a global health crisis all tie together? It's one word: friction. Seriously, from the trading floor to the halls of government, friction is the single underlying force shaping, well, everything right now. And that's our golden thread for this explain. So first up, let's dive into the deep end. We're going to look at the epicenters of all this stress, and we'll start where it's hitting hardest, the financial markets. The market is sending a signal, and believe me, it is crystal clear. India's main index, the Nifty, just crashed through a really critical long-term support level. Now, this isn't just some minor blip on the radar. No way. This is a fundamental shift in how investors are feeling about risk. Okay, to really get what that means, we've got to anchor on a technical term you hear all the time, the 200-day moving average, or DMA. Just think of it like this. It's the market's long-term EKG. It's the baseline for its health. And here's the twist. The Nifty just closed below that average. It's like a ship that's just sunk below its long-term waterline, and that sends a very loud signal to everyone that a major downturn could be coming. That has a real chilling effect, you know? It means it's suddenly way harder for companies to raise money, so they're going to clamp down on spending, especially with the budget just around the corner. So the bottom line here, this is financial friction in action, and it is squeezing the flow of capital hard. All right, let's shift gears. Now we're looking at political friction, and you'll see it's that same kind of squeezing pressure, but this time it's flaring up between the central government and the states. And it's all over a brand new world jobs law meant to replace the old MGNRGA program. Okay, to get this conflict, we need to anchor on the tool the center is using here. It's called a normative budget. Sounds complicated, right? But in plain English, it's just a way for the central government to put a hard cap on its spending. They set the rules beforehand, and it doesn't matter what the actual demand for jobs is on the ground. The spending limit is the spending limit. And this is where you can really see the friction point. On the surface, the new law looks great, right? It bumps up guaranteed work from 100 days to 125 days. But, and this is a huge but, here's the twist. The center built in a little something extra. They can declare a 60-day blackout period. When that happens, poof, the central money tap is shut off. And guess who has to pick up the tab? The states. It shoves the financial burden right onto them. You've already got states like Karnataka saying they're going to take this to court. So you see, this is way more than just a policy tiff. It's a structural fight over who really controls the money. So while all that friction is heating up at home, a massive friction point has just completely snapped on the global stage. We're now dealing with the fallout of the United States officially walking away from the World Health Organization. Just look at the numbers. This is the immediate financial shockwave. The U.S. left $260 million in unpaid dues just sitting there. That blows a hole in the budget that projects out to over $1 billion for the next cycle. I mean, that is a gigantic gap in the funding for the one organization tasked with global health security. But look, this is so much more than just a budget problem. Let's talk about what this means in human terms. The WHO is now being forced to slash its staff by almost 25% by June. And let's be absolutely clear, they're not just cutting back on paper pushers here. This is a one-quarter reduction of the entire planet's pandemic early warning team. So the bottom line, this institutional friction is a direct downgrade to global security. For everyone, every country, every company doing business across borders, everyone. Okay, but these big stories, they're really just the tip of the iceberg. If you look beyond the headlines, you can see the same kind of systemic friction building up in a lot of other critical spots. Let's start with the financial and digital undercurrents. For one, cyber fraud is now a massive 11,000 crore rupee problem. It's gotten so bad, authorities have had to block over 4 million mule accounts. And this isn't just about crime. It's creating real, tangible friction in our digital payment system. At the exact same time, you've got another kind of friction building. The private credit boom is running headfirst into the reality of a weak rupee. The cost for businesses to borrow in dollars, it's now touching 8%. That is intense pressure on corporate balance sheets. And it's the same pattern when you look at governance and geopolitics. On the local level, you've got these disputes over voter rolls in Assam and Bengal. That's creating social friction and raising some serious questions about legitimacy. Then, zoom out to the national level. There's a new policy pushing for automatic power tariff hikes. Well, you can bet that's creating direct political friction with the states. And it's even happening across our borders. Our relationship with Bangladesh is starting to show signs of diplomatic friction, all over political symbolism. Okay, so if that's the friction happening right now, the real question is, where are the future flashpoints? Where should we be looking? For that, we have to tune into the weak signals. So let's pose the question that really matters. What are the hairline fractures we can see today that could easily become the major fault lines of tomorrow? Signal number one is coming from the world of financial tech. Banks are rolling out these AI chatbots, right? Well, the intel is showing a very clear direction of travel here. These black box algorithms, they could easily end up causing real harm to customers. So what's the so what on this? Well, we are probably looking at a future filled with massive lawsuits and really strict new regulations. Regulations that draw a very, very hard line between what's considered a service and what counts as legally binding advice. If you're a bank using this tech, this is a giant compliance bomb just waiting to go off.
Our second weak signal is coming out of China. There's a major high-level purge happening inside the PLA, People's Liberation Army, with very senior officials being investigated. The source material points to a clear direction of travel. This kind of intense internal discipline could be a sign of broader instability to come. And the so what on this one is frankly enormous. Look, any kind of internal instability inside a superpower like China, it never stays internal for long. It has the potential to ripple outwards and affect everything, from regional security to the stability of the global supply chains we all rely on. This internal political friction, it's a global operational risk, period. All right, let's pull all these threads together now. We've followed this golden thread of friction, all the way from the stock market to domestic politics to global institutions. Now, it's time for the synthesis. So, here it is, the final verdict. The number one driver of risk in our world right now isn't some big single event. It's not a black swan. It's this systemic, grinding friction. It's happening everywhere systems meet. Between economies, between different levels of government, and between brand new technologies and old school regulations. So that leaves us with three key actionable things to watch in the days ahead. First, the India-EU trade pact. We're expecting a decision this week, and that's going to be a huge signal about which way global trade friction is headed. Second, the budget period. You've got to monitor corporate spending signals like a hawk for any sign that this financial friction is getting worse. And third, watch the courts. Specifically, keep an eye out for states officially taking the center to court over that new jobs law. That legal battle will be the ultimate stress test for just how bad this political friction is about to get.